Hey, yo, what's up, everybody? It's me, Joe Pizzapia, and this is In This Ring, the greatest wrestling podcast in the history of the universe. Yeah, I know it's only our second episode, but I mean, if you're not going to put it out there and you're not going to walk the walk and talk the talk, I mean, what's the point, right? You gotta throw it down. Tim Heaney and I are here. We are here courtesy of the In This League Podcast Network. Our first debut show last week, I think, went very well received. We appreciate all the love that we got, and we are here for round two. We're here for more, and we have got so much to talk about. We've got a lot of injury news to talk about, both peripheral WWE and also some NXT injury stuff. We've got some big news on the WWE front, too. It's more their global stuff that they're doing. A little Bullet Club news for you. Too sweet. And
what? One sweet, excuse me. Copyright.
Well, that's true. That's where hashtag one sweet. And there you go. We're only 5 minutes into the show, not even. We already got the hashtag one sweet.
And got shut down by WWE.
We also got the rumor mill. We're going to do a little rumors because rumors are fun. Innuendo is great, so we're going to talk about that. Some people who might be returning, some people who are definitely returning, and some people we wish were never coming back. Also, we're going to get into a little debate today because I want to talk about the status of the tag team right now. And Tim and I are going to go through our top 5 tag teams of all time a little later in the show, which should be fun fodder because everybody likes a list.
Lists.
I mean, come on. Lists are great, Tim.
SEO.
Well, you know, it's right. We'll do some sleepers and busts later on as well because can't get enough of that. 5 things that might kill you in your own house.
What the hell is this? What the hell is this?
We'll also break down everything we saw on Raw, on SmackDown as we head into the fast lane. But before we do, Tim, how the hell was your week, man? You feeling good? What's new?
Yeah, it was good. Wrestling was definitely fitting in there. And, as you are aware, fantasy baseball stuff's also taking up some time. But, everything's going good. Just waiting on the snow that's actually supposed to come in the Northeast today. Hopefully it doesn't, but we'll see.
Well, my kids are already off from school. They called it last night, which is so much better because there's nothing worse than when you're waiting and there's not going to be school and you have to wait till you get that call at 5:30 in the morning and you go, oh, great. Now that's really starting my day off, right? So now it's 5:30 in the morning and now I could try to go back to sleep or not. But all I know is that my kids actually enjoyed our first episode of the show last week. So for no other reason, it gave me 2 quiet breakfast periods where they just sat and ate breakfast and listened to the show without, knocking each other or, complaining about something. So if for no other reason, that is good enough reason to continue on with this podcast. So let's get started. Let's get to the news and let's talk a little bit about Rey Mysterio. The injury came down on last Friday. It was a little bit after we recorded, and it's kind of a bummer because there seemed to be that push happening where he was going to make a triumphant return, a little member berry action, but now it appears it was a bicep injury, which means he's going to be out for a long time, which means yet another person WWE touches and turns to injured. It just seems to be the MO of the last year and change or so. So how bummed are you about Mysterio not coming back?
I wasn't really sure about the rumored idea of the Rey Mysterio John Cena match. Maybe it was a payback for history that they've had, when John Cena kind of shortened his title reign. But when it comes to Rey being back as a wrestler, I liked it. He was great at the Royal Rumble. It was cool that they let him hang around closer to the end, which was nice. Good little star infusion there. And in Lucha Underground, Rey had a good run there. I really haven't caught up to see the end of it, but it's still, Rey was a nice injection there to kind of fight with, some of the bigger stars there and give them a little bit nicer experience. Yeah, I mean, Rey's had a bunch of, had some injury history that's kind of stopped his pushes here and there. And, this one being a bicep injury is kind of, I think it was a torn tricep or bicep. I missed it, but
bicep. I believe is what they said.
It's disappointing because as bloated as we think the roster might be, it's still cool to see guys that can actually come back and actually make a little bit of a run of something. So yeah, the injury actually happened at Northeast Wrestling too, which is it's kind of a shame that, but it was like a tune-up sort of thing before the WWE. So yeah, I mean, just have to keep waiting on, see what happens. Hope he rests up well.
Well, that's what happens too with as guys age, it's just part of the
Yeah, how old
business
is he
is
now?
part. Yeah. Well, I mean, gosh, I don't know. I mean, he's got to be somewhere around 40 something, right? I mean,
43 according to
43.
Wikipedia.
Yeah. So there you go. So thank you, Google machine, for helping us out. Also, the big news of the week too, the greatest Royal Rumble ever. 50 people in Saudi Arabia in one ring at one time. But I mean, honestly, this is another part of the globalization of the brand. Something that I think you could do in the WWE much better than you could do in the NFL in terms of the globalization.
Yeah,
So I
think
like this. It's fun. It's a gimmick. It's whatever. I know they're trying to continue to push these new markets. Last year they pushed into that Indian market. This year they're pushing more of that Middle Eastern market in Saudi Arabia. So I think it's cool. I think it's great. I think the more everybody in the world can agree on something, I think everybody can agree on that they don't like Roman Reigns, probably. It seems like that's something the entire world could possibly get behind. So, yeah, okay, 50 people, yeah, whatever. This is an opportunity for them basically to go there and showcase the entire talent roster and create a really cool event. And I say 2 thumbs up, positive. What say you, Tim Heaney?
Oh, yeah, I think so. We saw efforts like this in the Middle East already, when Sasha Banks and Alexa Bliss fought in Abu Dhabi for the Women's Championship. That was a really nice moment there. The sort of thing. This is very similar here, reach a new market of people. Some of these countries you don't see, the WWE much. It is good for fan outreach across the world. I get that. And you're also getting some pretty solid money out of this, I would think, from the market there. So it's definitely not an opportunity they should want to miss. So yeah, it should be interesting. I mean, you probably get some cool video out of it. Video content's always king these days, except for podcasts, of course. But
well, of course, especially this one.
Of course, but WWE doing its, WWE's video department's always great. They'll probably get some good material out of it. So yeah, it's I wish they were broadcasting on the network. I don't see any hint of that being the case now. But yeah, it's a good idea, and it makes sense from a marketing standpoint.
You don't think that? I mean, I assume the content's going to be on the network eventually, whether they
hope so.
Broadcast it live or not. I don't know logistically, how that would work out for them, but I would imagine. I mean, everything's on the network, so I can't imagine them not putting it on there eventually.
Like they didn't put Starrcade when they went to North Carolina on there, I don't think, and I mean they did like,
and that was a big mistake in retrospect too, because
huge mistake,
especially because a lot of cool stuff happened there, and there was a lot of nostalgic possibility where I almost feel like. That one segment, and I know, the Southern wrestling fan still yearns for a lot of those old NWA, WCW days of stuff. And I know they try to bring them in a little bit, but that would have been an event to really bring them in a little bit. And I think they kind of missed the boat there.
Dude, the WCW nostalgia stuff is really fun to watch sometimes on the network. And that's, when Goldust turned back into Dustin Rhodes, that was an awesome moment. The Charlotte coming out on the road with Ric Flair stuff, people would geek out for that.
Right.
Like WCW, fanatics would.
Yeah, and
I would. I mean, that's cool stuff.
Well, yeah, because I mean, it's part of the history, and if you love the history of this business, like you and I do, there's no reason why you wouldn't get a kick out of that and watch it. And I think the numbers would have been very good on it. And I hope that they might have learned the lesson from that too. All right, going to some house show news. Brock Lesnar. Fans boo the brief appearance of Brock Lesnar. Plus, you got the Roman Reigns promo. Plus, the epic, absolutely epic, and we're going to get to Raw a little bit later, but the epic Paul Heyman just laying it out there, putting the belt in the center of the ring. And I'm going to pose this question to you. Is there anybody in the business, in the ring, outside the ring, whatever, who could cut a better promo than Paul Heyman? Because I don't think anyone exists. I don't think anybody gives it the weight that guy gives it. He makes it feel like it's the Academy Awards, like this giant moment of whatever it is. And he could be talking about, like a glass of chocolate milk. And he could be, this chocolate milk is so delicious. It's so filled with syrup. It's frothing for your mouth to taste it. And when it does, what will happen to your body will be absolutely spectacular. I mean, he's just insane, and I love it. I can't get enough of it, and God bless, because I think it's the only thing that makes Brock Lesnar tolerable for me.
Yeah, I'm losing some shine with Brock. I think they're really touching on that too. They're really playing into the fan dynamic of, all right, we want a champion that's around all the time, and with the negotiations with Brock, you don't know how they're actually considering this stuff, but the UFC threat I still think is real of him going there. As for Heyman, yeah, I mean. I'll steal the line from Tommy Boy, as I say to everyone. Heyman could sell a ketchup popsicle to a woman in white gloves. So,
he absolutely can.
Here
I'm going to throw this out. If Brock Lesnar leaves, I'm going to throw this out. Paul Heyman still should be around in some way.
Of course, yeah.
I'm going to throw a couple scenarios out for you. They just popped in my head. Scenario number 1, the full turnaround, and maybe he just goes with Roman. And we all hate, everybody bitches about, Roman promos and all the things, or they want to think he's boring. Or, even though lately we both agree that we like the trajectory of where it's going. Would you accept Paul Heyman with Roman? Would that be kind of a fun turn, that unexpected, nobody sees coming, where all of a sudden you solve 2 problems? You give Heyman something and you help support Roman as champ, which he could kind of use a little bit, that advocate, as it were. What are your thoughts on him with Roman?
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if that was they're considering that. We've seen even back in WrestleMania 31 and the talk with the Roman Undertaker stuff, Paul Heyman has dropped a lot of hints that he's just he has a huge connection with the history of Roman's family and stuff like that. He's got the appreciativeness of the Wild Samoans and all that. I think there's been some Easter eggs along the way that maybe it's possible that it would happen if Brock just kind of just really turns into that jerk persona. They could really,
or
play that
even
up.
If Heyman's involved in the screw job at WrestleMania, how amazeballs would that be?
I mean, that would be great. I would love to see Roman turn full heel. I don't see it. I don't know if it's going to be happening because of the reasons that have meant us and many people have stated before with the kids and stuff like that. But still, if they're going that direction, it would almost be like Heyman give him someone to cheer for. That would make Roman's babyface persona a little better. But it's kind of the weird clash we have to talk about when the IWC, as it were, wants to root for the bad guy and the cool bad guy, but doesn't like Roman as a pure babyface there. So yeah, I could definitely see the Heyman Roman thing happening. Yeah.
Here's another one for you.
I don't know if they'll do it. Yeah.
Here's another one for you. Heyman, Braun Strowman.
I don't think Braun needs him. I don't
think he needs him either. But do you think he needs him as a foil to work off in order to bridge the gap to that next moment? I agree. We said it on the last show that I think Braun Strowman is incredible. I just made him one person. I took both names.
Roman.
Braun Strowman, I think, would has so much personality, and they have barely tapped into it. But I wonder if Paul Heyman would be Paul Heyman as the advocate makes that a little bit of a bridge to get there as well. Yeah. Where would you put Paul Heyman after this Brock Lesnar thing ends? Because, we know it's going to end sooner or later. I think sooner than later. But who would you stick him with, or where would you put him in?
Yeah, I first of all, I will say that, Heyman, they've used him as that guy to tab the next guy. Like, the Curtis Axel stuff didn't work out, but it was a nice idea in theory where he's like saying, all right, this is the next guy. I'm going to attach myself to him now. The Bobby Lashley, if he's going to maybe be the one to send Brock Lesnar out of WWE, and to guys take that mantle. He's not the best promo guy, so Heyman could really work with him. Ronda Rousey makes sense if they want to inject some more life into the women's division that way.
Now that would be fun. I didn't think about that one, but that's a little out of the box too, because she's gonna need some help. Let me tell you.
If they're making her talk all the time, she's gonna need a little bit of guidance there.
All right, let's move on the injury front too. Going back to some injuries, NXT. Bobby Fish has the knee injury at the house show. So far, the early news is not good, but does it really make too much of an impact? Obviously it does because you want him in there, but because it's a 3-man stable, do they just default to the other 2 guys and then just roll with it that way from a brand standpoint?
I think they would have to. Any time we're without Red Dragon in tag team wrestling is a sad time. Big fan of theirs, going back to New Japan Ring of Honor. Yeah, there hasn't really been any updates now. I'm a little bit worrisome about that because that might mean it's a little more serious. But Adam Cole and Kyle O'Reilly could be, they've worked together long enough for sure that they could easily step in that state. They used to be their own tag team called Future Shock, so they have the chemistry to do that and resurrect that. The Undisputed Era, it's weird because they had a really good start in NXT, but they've been kind of, leveling them out, not really having them make a big push yet. The tag team titles is a push, but I guess maybe, I don't know, they haven't been as dominant as I was hoping they would make them. They have been the conniving heels, I guess, so that helps. But they almost have like another level to them when it comes to dominating NXT. So I hope this doesn't keep Fish out too long.
All right. Also, this is in the fun news too. Dave Meltzer said that the Bullet Club couldn't show. At one point, could not fill a 10,000 seat arena. So Bullet Club All In show confirmed for Chicago in September. It's a 10,000 seat arena, and they're going to sell it out. And I think they will. I absolutely think that they will.
Mhm.
And I'm sure you'll get some of the stars from a couple of the different promotions there. You're not going to get any WWE guys, but I'm sure you'll get some New Japan guys and the Ring of Honor guys and all that. So that'll be a good time. And I mean, that's a ticket I would buy if I was in Chicago and go see that show. Would you buy that ticket?
Well, of course. I'll help you both buy tickets and then live broadcast.
Yes.
Get interviews with all those guys.
Goals, but, Tim Heaney.
Yeah,
goals.
Yeah.
That's what this is all about.
Oh, marbles. Yeah, I think they picked the right market in America. If they couldn't get a New York arena, which probably would have been too expensive, Chicago suburb arenas usually work out well. You know, the Allstate Arena in Rosemont was always a nice hotbed for wrestling, and this is very much in that same vein. And you know, Cody Rhodes is a star even more than he ever was in WWE now. His indie work has been incredible. Getting the blonde hair was a nice touch to make him even more smarmy, you know, heelish. And you know, Young Bucks, their indie following is incredible. So. You know, you see the Kenny Omega, Kota Ibushi, they'll have a Golden Lovers tag match probably at that point. You know, maybe get someone that you love in Bullet Club that we'll talk about in a minute. But yeah, I think they picked the right place for it. And yeah, I trust these guys to kind of rub it into Dave Meltzer a little bit.
Yeah, and Marty Scurll is the guy that I love because Marty Scurll's just I love the villain persona. I love the bit. I love everything about it. It works. The mask, the villain thing, to me, it's all around. It's unique. It's different, yet it's still in a lot of ways is reminiscent of things that we're familiar with. And I like that. I think that's exactly the right tone to be setting. And the match he had a couple months ago, Will Ospreay, I thought was terrific. I thought that was an outstanding match. And so, you know, I'm hoping he'll be at that event. But that's one of those guys to watch. I think he's quietly becoming a breakout star in that group. Impact and Lucha Underground announced also a partnership for WrestleMania weekend. So they're going to be doing a show in New Orleans. You know, it's funny. Like WrestleMania is becoming like the wrestling convention where everybody's got to go to that town and do something and network and talk to each other. And I feel like that it's become – some sort of bizarre meet and greet for every wrestler, independent or professional or amateur or whatever's got to go down there. So what's your take on this? You like this kind of stuff where everything was just pushed into one thing for a weekend? It's just a huge wrestling weekend? Or do you say, guys, just stay away from the big company with the big show?
I mean, Virgil will be there in some way. So
somehow.
That'll be
somehow,
fun. Yeah, I'm mixed on that. I mean, now that WWE also has NXT that weekend, that's going to be a huge draw. It's going to be a sellout. I mean, these shows probably exist as, they don't have anything there, come to us instead. They're not admitting that in their advertising, of course, but, they're kind of backing up and picking up some of the scraps from that, which I guess.
And they're also capturing the people who travel there for the event and are looking for other stuff to do.
Right.
If you're traveling, if you're going, hey, let's go to New Orleans for the weekend, we'll go see WrestleMania. Oh, wait, there's other shows. Oh, wait, go see NXT. Oh, we go see Ring of Honor.
People just be on Bourbon Street the whole time, though. I don't blame them, but,
Well, yeah. I mean, look, in New Orleans, it's much easier. If you're in Indianapolis, yes, you want to just go see more wrestling. Right. No offense to Indianapolis. I'm just saying it's not quite New Orleans. That's all I'm saying, especially that time of year.
Right.
So, it is what it is in that sense. So I would feel that I understand it. I think it's a good way to also continue to latch on and just get other people who might not be as aware of your brand a little bit more aware. Mm-hmm. So as an opportunity to do that, I think it's smart for those other companies. I can see the downside too, but I think it's more upside than downside. Last bit of news before we get into the rumor mill. WWE, another Hall of Fame inductee announced this week. Hillbilly Jim, someone from my childhood. The gimmick of Hulk Hogan pulling the guy from the crowd, the guy in the overalls, the hickey guy from, I think it was Mudville, Kentucky. If
something like that. It was Kentucky.
Something like that, yeah. And or Mudhole, I don't remember what it was.
Mudlick, Kentucky.
Mudlick, oh, God, Mudhole.
Dirty name for our childhoods we din't even pick up on.
That's gross.
Mudlick.
Is that what it was? Is Mudlick?
Mudlick, yes.
Oh, man, that's terrible. I almost think Mudhole sounded better. But Hillbilly Jim was he was a prominent figure, a very likable, charismatic guy, fun in the ring. I remember as a kid, I had the old school WWE ring, that hard top plastic ring with the red, white, and blue ropes and the big oversized wrestlers, that you couldn't really bend. You could try a little bit, but if you bent them too far, something would snap off, and then you get in trouble. But I also had I was telling you this before the show, we had the little thumb wrestlers too, which you could take and put them in your backpack when you went to school, and you could have little wrestling matches like in the cafeteria and stuff when you were a kid. But it was a little disconcerting because you had to stick your thumb basically between their back and their butt. I mean, through their mud hole, as it were. And it was kind of like, I guess I'm going to do this, and I'm going to stick my thumb in here, and we're going to fight. And, like I had a little Roddy Piper. I had Hillbilly Jim, all those guys. And, it's very cool for, him to get inducted. He was definitely one of the faces of WWE in the 80s. So congratulations to Hillbilly Jim. I know, not before your time, but slightly. So I don't know if you have any Hillbilly Jim memories at all.
Oh, no, I remember the figures and stuff. And, yeah, I watched him a little bit on Saturday mornings. I caught some of that stuff back then. He was almost like a Braun Strowman before Braun Strowman. They were, both Southern boys, both giant people.
Right. He was like the other end of it. Like if Braun Strowman is this beast, this monster, Hillbilly Jim was like, the lovable hick.
Yeah, exactly. I remember him managing the Godwins. That's what I remember. Mostly. And he was in that gimmick battle royal at WrestleMania 17. And it's just, you got to have those characters in the Hall of Fame too. I love how people like get on Coco Beware being in the Hall of Fame because he wouldn't wrestle well. But I'm like, guys, every kid remembers who Coco Beware was.
Oh yeah, everybody did the Birdman thing. Look, wrestling
you need to
in the 80s.
You need to have that disparity of types of characters in there. It doesn't matter wrestling skill. I mean,
you're right. And wrestling in the 80s is a very different universe than what wrestling is now. It's just, it's so much of it was about the character. I mean, there were some guys who were doing very breakout things. Jake the Snake Roberts, and the psychology of what he was doing was very ahead of its time, and very unique. And then you had a lot of other guys who were just there for the entertainment value. So, look, it's good for him. Congratulations to Hillbilly Jim. Yep. And it's a bizarre class because you get like Jeff Jarrett in there, which I didn't know if that was ever going to happen. That was kind of an odd one for me. But
it's the Triple H making a men's tour again. He's trying to rebuild the bridges that were broken, kind of.
That's right. Building bridges. That's what we're doing here. All right, let's roll up the rumor mill, shall we?
I love rumors. Facts can be so misleading. Were rumors true or false are often revealing.
Okay, so Alberto Del Rio was seen apparently in Connecticut at the WWE complex, I guess, doing some sort of interview about Rey Mysterio, but I don't know. I guess that was all scrapped probably or whatever it is, and apparently met with Vince McMahon there. So, of course, just because he was in the building doing something, the rumors are flying. Well, his contract's coming up soon. Will he be back? Does Vince want him back? Oh, Vince might want him back. I would be shocked if he came back. To me, this is just one of those ploys where find a reason to go visit the old club right before your contract is up so you can get more money out of TNA. That's all I think it is. Do you think it's anything more?
I hope it's not. I don't know. I'm like wishy-washy on Del Rio. I liked him in Lucha Underground. I'm not sure I like him in most other venues right now. They don't need him. Apparently, the rumors have said Vince likes him a lot. He likes that persona, I guess, the cocky, arrogant guy. But
if we only had a cocky, arrogant guy in WWE.
I know, right? None of those. But it's the worst time to bring him back because you have so many guys on the rise, and Alberto Del Rio is going to take up a prime roster spot probably. And I don't know, the stuff he did with like Kalisto was kind of all right, but I don't know. I'm just bored of him, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I just don't. It's like you said, unnecessary. And with Paige being back and then her, unfortunate situation.
I didn't even want to get into that, but that's important.
Yeah, I mean, we'll touch on that a little bit later on. Big Show apparently not retiring, putting out some cool stuff on social media. I sent some sarcasm.
No, I'm okay with it.
That was awesome. Big Show apparently not retiring, and then Tim Heaney gives me the driest cool that I've ever heard. I mean,
no, I actually meant to be serious on that.
Oh, okay. All right. So, I mean, I give him a lot of credit that he's, it's funny this time of year in baseball, we cover baseball, everyone's in the best shape of their life, but, Big Show might very well be in the best shape of his life, or at least last 20-something years.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know how far you can go with Big Show at this point in the career. So, I mean, as enhancement talent to help the young guys, I get it. But I mean, I don't know. I feel like that moment in time of the big giant guy who can't who can't go the way a guy like Strowman can go, and he's such an anomaly. But even the larger guys now, like Cass and stuff like that, they're just more athletic than the big guys of the 80s and 90s ever were. So I don't know if he has a place, but I give him a lot of credit for sticking around.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've come to respect him just the fact that he has put the work in. He always puts the work in. He shows up, does whatever they tell him to do, even if it's like 10,000 heel turns in a year. Because he's very good at that. I think it was a perfect ending to have Strowman like toss him through the cage, because he debuted in WWE by throwing Stone Cold through a cage, and it was kind of nice symmetry, nice bow on his career to put Strowman over like that those couple times. I thought that would have been the nice way to go out if he was going out, go out on your back, as they say, or I guess as in Big Show's case, through a cage.
Yeah, that wouldn't have been a bad, if that was the end of his career, that would have been pretty damn cool. I do agree with you. I think that would have been pretty neat. The opposite of cool, Kid Rock might be, you like that segue? See what I did there? Kid Rock likely to be the last member of this year's Hall of Fame class in the celebrity wing, which hosts such giants in the both celebrity and wrestling world as Mr. T, Mike Tyson, Pete Rose, and of course the President of the United States, Donald Trump. So, I gotta say, between Mr. T, Pete Rose, Mike Tyson, Donald Trump, and Kid Rock, if you had kids, Tim Heaney, which one would you leave your kids with?
Oh, no. Oh, that's a terrible question. Oh, boy. Well, Mr. T would be all about, teach them about staying off drugs.
Yeah.
So that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, I think Mr. T is winning that by a fair amount.
Oh, my goodness. Kid Rock. I get the Undertaker connection.
Did you guys eat all your cereal? Because if you didn't eat all your cereal, you're not going anywhere, okay? You got to eat it all. But seriously, you start looking at some of the names, you're like, wow, it's like this is just say this is a checkered past of people. Actually, isn't Snoop Dogg in there too?
Well, I think that was probably because of the Sasha Banks connection.
But you know what? I take it back. I think Snoop Dogg might be the
one of the better ones still. I think.
It is. I mean, all the youth football work that he's done and all those things.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, well, the thing is, you're missing Cyndi Lauper, I think, still.
Oh, yeah, Cyndi Lauper.
You're missing Lemmy, which would be ridiculous because I'm surprised Triple H hasn't put him in already.
Yeah.
Kid Rock, I mean, he wrote the Undertaker American Badass theme song, which I admit I kind of sort of liked as a kid. I know to go off the Undertaker demon presence is different, but it was kind of cool to see him do a little bit something different for a while. And I guess Kid Rock's, role in that kind of makes sense there. But
it's fine. I just don't want him to have a speech. Just that's the only problem.
Kid Rock.
No speech. All right, let's try to end Rumor Mill on a high note before we go to break. See if we can pick this around and turn it up. And it's going to segue into our next segment too. The bar obviously had I don't want to say cakewalk match, but a cakewalk match over Dash and Dawson.
Terrible idea for one.
Yeah, but at this point
anyway,
basically afterwards on social media, you get the Sheamus tweet of saying, is anybody out there willing to step up to the bar? And our good buddy, Eric Young, is like, well, I think we're up to the task. And you know what? If you want to call it a rumor, if you want to call it
speculation,
whatever you want to call it. I mean, NXT is going to be taken over. The bar does not have clear-cut opponent, in my opinion, still, and we are only a few weeks away. We're less than we're almost 30 days out now. To me, why not have something cool like that where you bridge the two shows and the brands and everything together and try something like that? Because I mean, what's the negative? I don't see the negative in it. Maybe this is rumor mill that I'm just, milling myself, but damn it, I like it. I want to see it. I think EY's onto something. What do you think, Tim?
Oh, I love Sanity. You and I have talked about this, and EY's our good friend on Twitter. I kind of drop him hints after every Sanity match, and I mean, it's just a great group of people in there. I mean, Killian Dane, Big Damo, is just a ridiculous athlete. Nikki Cross is just unbelievably funny and great in the ring, and Alexander Wolf has really come into his own in this group too. He's kind of a nice developmental project. They've really kind of taken him on, and EY, just being the ringleader of it all has been an amazing role server there, and they've had some great matches with Undisputed Era. They would be a nice injection in the WWE, though. I mean, where the Wyatt family dropped the ball, I guess they're going to pick it up if they ever get called up soon.
Well, yeah, I think they have that potential opportunity. I think they potentially a little bit more edgy.
Yes.
Not just we're not talking like just our style. We're talking edgy in terms of the total package there. So we're going to hit a break when we come back. We're going to talk more about the bar and where they fit in the all-time rankings of tag teams. And my answer might surprise you. We'll see what Tim says. So we're going to break. We come back. More In This Ring right after this.
Let's get back to ringside.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to In This Ring. Joe Pisapia, Tim Heaney, talking a little bit about tag teams. And, you know, it got me thinking because I've got to say, Tim, I was never a huge Sheamus guy. I always liked Cesaro, but to me, he felt like a guy that was never going to reach the very top for whatever reason. But there's something about the two of these guys together that just works for me. This whole bar thing has kind of grown on its own. As I always like to say, that's always the best, when you leave things alone and you let them grow and develop. And whether it's the awesome moment at SummerSlam where Cesaro runs out to the crowd and rips the beach ball, whether it's the whole thing with the teeth, right? I mean, my kids still talk about that. I mean, if they see a beach ball, they're like, hey, Daddy, remember when Cesaro? Every single time, that's all they see, a beach ball. Whether it's the whole thing with the teeth episode and then continuing the match, and then even after surgery's over, he still leaves in the silly mouth guard because it's just part of this character now. I love it. I think that they're doing a great job, and I'll tell you what, I think it's the best thing to happen to both their careers, especially at this point in time. I wish they had a better foil. Right now they don't. I think after WrestleMania they'll figure out, you know, whether there's a brand split or no brand split or whatever the shakeup is, they'll rectify that situation. But to me right now, I would put the Bar in top 5 of at least my favorite tag teams of all time. And I know that people will say, it's crazy. But if you start to look at the list, now I made my top 5. And I also was very, aware. And, as I said, Tim and I are historians here. So we do like to go back. And we know all about Rock and Roll Express and Midnight Express and every kind of express tag team out there. We know about the Freebirds. I've watched these acts. I understand their importance in the aspect, but I'm talking about total package in terms of delivery. So Tim, let's start with you. Do you have a top 5 of your tag teams of all time?
Yeah, of course I do. I had to cut a lot of good ones, obviously, because I like that it's 5 because you can sneak in a lot of the teams in 10. Cutting the Harlem Heat and British Bulldogs were very painful for me.
Harlem Heat was one that I struggled with because they were very good. They were a very good working tag team together.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I guess I let Stevie Ray's less talent than Booker T being the beast in that group kind of weigh them down a little bit more for me. So my 5, I'll go in ascending order, I guess. Number 5 is the Hardy Boys, just for the revolutionary stuff they did. Maybe I'll be trending a little bit more heavier to the modern times with these, but I don't know. You look at the patterns that these guys had, and it's just I think it was more impact on the business. And number 4 is going to be the Steiners. Excellent athleticism, all the Frankensteiner stuff, and, the Steiner driver, great moves. Number 3 is the Hart Foundation, whether it be, Brett and Jim Neidhart or Owen and Jim Neidhart or whatever pairing they had. That's a heck of a stable of people to choose from there. Number 2, especially for the longevity purpose, is the Dudley Boys. They've adapted to so many different situations, ECW and, when WWE had to tone things down, but obviously with the TLC stuff, they helped really create things. You don't always want to judge by titles, but in this case, the fact they were over for so long with their gimmick, that really mattered to me. So I put them number 2, and I guess number 1 from back when I was a kid, biggest impact that a kid would ever have watching a tag team, I think, is the Road Warriors Legion of Doom, number 1.
Okay, so we've got some overlay here.
I'm mixing a little bit, yeah.
And I mixed a little too.
And talent and character, I think, both have to come into play.
And I have 3 of your 5 in my top 5 as well. So that's obviously, so we're kind of on the same page there. Now, for me, the ones that didn't make it, the Hart Foundation, and I'll tell you why. It's because to me, Bret Hart was the Hart Foundation. So for me, it's like Jim the Anvil Neidhart, I got no love for in terms of as a worker. Okay. He can make whatever silly laughing comments on his promos or whatever. Like, he just didn't do it for me. The Steiners were another one too, where I acknowledge the greatness of the Steiners, but I never found them to be, outside of the in-ring work, entertaining. So I'm looking for total package here. That's where I'm looking for. And it's funny because then you get some of those like star power groups like the Outsiders, right? When I wouldn't put them in. It's more like just, you take 2 stars and put them together, like the Rock and Sock connection is, even though that was fun. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about authentic tag teams.
Yeah, the Outsiders, they were like among that group of like, bottom of the top 10 or whatever.
And I'll tell you what, too. I mean, even a group like the Rockers, who are awesome. I mean, they never held the tag team titles. People forget that.
They didn't need to because they were over in other ways.
Right. And no belt still to me. I mean, you can't be, great tag teams of all time if you never held the belt, and it's just part of the gig, man. And New Age Outlaws were the opposite. Like if the Steiners were the one end of the spectrum, where the Steiners were all work and not a lot of show, the other ones were all show and not a lot of work necessarily. So I think that's where that comes from. So my top 5, I'm going with the Bar. They're good in the ring. They're entertaining outside of it. I like this weird, we wear kilts and have sunglasses, and the entrance is great, and the promos are pretty entertaining. The persona, and it keeps building, and I like how everything that happens organically to them just continues to, like I said, the mouth guard thing, it cracks me up every time. They've said a million times he doesn't need it anymore. It's just in there now.
It's just there.
Because it's amusing to listen to him try to talk with it. And it sounds funny.
That's how you get yourself over, man. And Cesaro's got a good sense of humor, even though people, he hasn't always gotten the chance to show it. So
I love Cesaro. I think he's just terrific. So I'm going to say the Bar is number 5, and I think they've just begun. I think they've got another year or two in them, in and out of this division as champions. The Hardys are number 4 for me, without a doubt. The Hardys are very revolutionary young group that came in there, and it was, there's no Young Bucks right now without the Hardy Boys then. It's that kind of situation where they really were that new thing, and they worked well, and some of the innovation that was in there. Number 3 for me is Dudley Boys. So we overlap there on 4 and 3. And you're right, across different promotions, evolution of a gimmick too. They went from the stuttering whatever thing, and the fact that they're brothers. I mean, everything about it's just fun.
And get the tables, you have a whole arena shouting it. That's over.
It's completely over. And a lot of people didn't think they were ever going to work in the big company. And not only did it work, they were able to grow it. And I think that was a real tribute to them. So to me, they're top 3. I'm gonna say Edge and Christian are number 2.
Yeah, that was.
And I'll tell you what.
Yeah, go ahead.
And here's my reasoning. They were involved in all those matches, right? And not only that, but they're infinitely better promo-wise than either of the 2 teams I just mentioned. Their chemistry, the gimmicks. It's like this childhood dream of you and your buddy becoming tag team champions in WWE, and they personified that, and they did it. So for me, it's Edge and Christian. Were they even in your sphere at all, in your top 5 when you're considering it?
Top 10 sphere. It's just I'm not the biggest Christian fan. I get his importance.
See, I think he's grossly underrated.
I get the importance he had. There you go. I guess. I didn't want to just make it all TLC teams. I don't know. I had to kind of go across a couple of different areas for that.
All right. Well, I'm going to end on the same note you did, which is when I think of tag team wrestling, I think of the Legion of Doom. I think of the total package of those guys with those spikes, with that makeup. And I remember as a kid, that imagery of them working and the whole What a Rush and all that stuff. They were just a complete tag team duo in lockstep with each other. And I think that is, the icons of what tag team wrestling is supposed to be.
Doomsday Device, man, that was awesome.
Oh yeah. And look, hopefully groups like the Usos and Young Bucks. I mean, I think the Usos New Day, the Usos are on this path right now for me, where every time I see them, they just get better. And that means in and outside the ring. Every promo they cut, every in-ring, whatever it is, everything they do gets better every single time I see them. And they're one of these groups that I think if we did this list in 10 years, they would be on that top 5 potentially.
Yeah, I mean, when they dropped the Samoan stuff, the face paint and the goody-goody, and they were allowed to be heels, and now they're even just allowed to be tweeners. It's just they're doing some great character work. They're doing some great mic work, and we're not questioning their in-ring ability at all because they know how to go. So
but the recent take on things too. The way that they would go back and forth with the promos. It's just really solid. It's really cool. It's really together. It's original. And again, when you talk about united front of a team. Everything from the way they dress, and it's funny because they're all in black, and then they'll come out in those white pants on a pay-per-view.
Yep.
And it's like, wow. It's like, with the fresh white sneakers and stuff. It is jarring, man. What they've got going right now is special. And I love New Day too. Very, very amusing group. What do you think of the whole 3-man tag team stable too that's evolving? That you see these groups that, sometimes 2 people in this group and then a different 2 people. New Day's done it. We talked about Undisputed Era. There's a lot of this kind of thing happening. Even Sanity's kind of a group, but there's tag team champions inside of it. Do you like where this is going? Is this kind of the new wave of tag team wrestling?
Well, I think that WWE and NXT signing all these guys, they have to kind of have more groups now to fit all these people in a certain role. So I do like that they're having more acts in their programming, so it's going to be helpful there. I worry that it might get oversaturated because you have a lot of these guys kind of doing the same thing, and you have to kind of keep them spread out from each other once in a while so they can have different things going on. And if you combine them too soon without a plan for the long-term growth, it could be a little bit messy. But I do like that we're just trying to branch out a little bit more into stuff like this. And like I said, keep more talented people on the roster and on TV as long as you can.
You just made the list!
All right, let's go over to Raw and let's talk about the recap from Monday night's show. The whole Ronda angle versus McMahon Helmsley. Everybody knew this was coming for weeks and weeks.
In some form, yeah.
Do you like how it's developing? Is it working for you? Or I'm going to take it as a no from the.
Well, I like the idea of keeping. I think we talked about this last week, keeping Ronda kind of out of the real periphery of the women's division on the outset and getting the celebrity factor out of it. I just wish she wouldn't have gotten to do a move on Steph so soon in the thing, because I think the whole allure of this is that Stephanie should get her come up at the end of this, and I think the build to that is what people would want to see. The fact that she already gave Stephanie a Samoan drop, it's like, all right, so you're just going to keep beating her up now. It's like,
well, here's my big problem, Tim, and see if you agree with this or not. My big issue is if you want to really wow the crowd the first time out in the ring for Ronda Rousey when you see her, I don't think Stephanie's the best person for her to be working off. If you're going to give her a Charlotte, if you're going to give her an Asuka, if you're going to give her an Alexa Bliss, if you're going to give her there's so many great women right now in their stable. I don't think she's the best way to showcase, and already on the mic, she's shaky. To me, this is I get it. I understand it. It makes it fun from a writing perspective, but from a getting over with the crowd perspective, I don't know, as this being the first entree for her in the ring, if it's going to be the most beneficial for her.
I think it's the easiest storytelling point to put her against Stephanie McMahon, who everybody kind of hates character-wise. So I
love her. She's hilarious. She cracks me up. All the McMahon. She's so much like her father. It's terrifying. It's great. The stuff that and Shane is like his own guy, but she is Vince in a dress. I mean, she is. The way she's able to do stuff and the way, and maybe she will have a great program with her, but I'm just worried about in the ring, that being the person at WrestleMania on that stage in front of that size crowd to be the person. But we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think more people would be angry if Ronda were headlining the women's division already, to be honest.
I don't disagree with that either. And that's why you run into a problem when you're at WrestleMania debuting somebody. Because there's no build. It's just thrust them into some sort of spotlight, and it's tough to thrust them into the right one.
I guess they figure maybe what happened at WrestleMania 31 was her debut technically, and this is just kind of part-timer coming back again. But it's not the same because she's full-timer. But we got her a little taste of it 3 years ago, and now it's going to be the full, I guess. So maybe they're playing that angle off that.
All right, let's talk about Nia Jax here. Great match between her and Asuka. I'd like to nominate her for the Academy Award for the real tears here after, which is kind of an awkward thing as like Alexa. It was somewhere between like fascinating to watch and kind of jerk, like the stuff. She's like, must have been really hard when everybody made fun of you and like you were bigger than all the other kids. Remember that, fatty? Was that good for you, huh? Did you like? That must have been really hard.
Alexa's a freaking promo genius, though. She played that so well. The condescending Regina George, Mean Girl, pep speech where it's really just trying to put you down.
So great.
I like where this is going. Nia being, now being placed as kind of an underdog because of, talk about how big she is, but then if she can't come up big in situations, then she's getting on her own psyche about it. I still think this is building to Nia Alexa at WrestleMania. I hope
so, because I keep saying the same thing, which is Charlotte doesn't have a match. We're going to get to that in the next segment here. Don't give me Ruby Riott. Stop. Don't stop.
I like Ruby, but
I like her too. But it's like if Rachel Dratch became a wrestler, she'd be Ruby Riott.
People say that. I've just like the fourth comparison I've seen.
Oh my god! Every time I see her, all I think about is Debbie Downer. Like, that match would have been really good if it had a couple good spots in it. Wah, wah. Yeah, it was like that.
Anyway, I don't know if I'm a conspiracy theorist, but I think that. I don't know. I still think there's a nice long game they're playing with this match thing.
I hope so.
Something's going to swerve.
I hope there is a swerve there, and I hope that something pivots off of it and they find a way. Bailey and Sasha, the drama continues there. Bailey has a match with Mandy that was very good. I mean, Mandy's a star. Sorry.
We've been over this.
I mean, I like saying it. I like saying it. She's a star. I mean, just everyone get out of the way.
She keeps improving, man. People who just kind of blind to that. I'm like, no, you watch her work right.
Oh, she's a great worker. She's got that. She holds the audience.
Yep. She should have won Tough Enough. That was a really weird decision, but
well, whatever. But and the whole Paige as a manager, I think I actually like her in this role better than I like her as a wrestler personally.
At this point, yeah.
I was never a big fan of her in the ring, so I think that all works. But this whole Bailey Sasha thing, we talked about that. That's where it needs to go. It's starting to go there. I like the whole "don't hug me" thing. Get out of my way, bitch. I like it. It's good. It's working for me. So is it working for you as much as working for me?
I hope they're not doing Bailey as heel. Because
I don't think they are.
I think she's just being like, she's finally realizing how bad Sasha is, I guess, and then they'll flip it, and Sasha just will be the real jerk. I mean, I guess she was at Elimination Chamber, but they're playing it right for now. Raw's got some good writing going on, so
it does. Yeah. Speaking of the writing, how about the writing of the compound match? Yeah,
wonderful.
Nah. So, what are your thoughts on the whole Hardy compound thing? You think they can pull this off?
I hope so. They have the production to do it. Don't turn it into House of Horrors again. That was horrendous.
That's my fear. That's my nightmare. That is my nightmare.
That is everyone's nightmare. They're saying it might not be at WrestleMania. It might be some other point. It might be like a Raw taped vignette thing. It should be, it's got to be taped up for sure to get the full effect of it. I don't know. I still think you can pull it off at WrestleMania somehow. Just have the big screen of it or something, and then I don't know, have it end in the ring.
I was going to say that's what you have to do. You have to have it end in the ring. You have to have whatever it is work its way to the ring by the end of it. Maybe. And you can do the last 5 minutes in the ring. And I think
House of Horrors didn't work that way, so it didn't work when they tried to do that. So
well, hopefully they've learned
I don't know,
from their mistakes. All right, John Cena free agent hopping because he can't get enough airtime. He's on there, and because that wasn't enough, we had to throw Goldust out there as the foil. Which at first I just got to cover my eyes and went, no, why is this happening? And then I said, okay, well maybe they could do something with it. And I said, nope. You were right the first time. I can't do it.
The on the waterfront quote was perfect for this.
That's what I said. It changed. I thought it was. My initial reaction was no, and then I said, okay, maybe he's gonna say this. Maybe this is gonna work. Yeah. And then by the end of it, I was like, no, that was a waste of time.
Yeah, I mean, well, they had to have someone be the jobber, I guess. But
I guess, but I mean,
it sucks that it's Goldust. Yeah,
I mean, it's great that he gets a lot of respect, though. I mean, I was at a show last year, and on the way out after he lost, he stopped and the crowd all stood up. I mean, he got a standing ovation in the Garden.
Of course.
Which is pretty awesome, and he turned around and he looked at everybody on the way out as he stopped, and then he just kind of did the hands like, oh, please, on the way out. That was just perfect. Like, stop it. And that was just perfect. It's quintessential Goldust.
I wish he would have had one more run at the Intercontinental title. I mean, he was kind of getting up there again last year, like in popularity. Yeah. They were trying to do that heel turn. I'm like, come on, push him. You can do it. Just like for a couple of weeks or something. Make him Intercontinental champion. That'd be freaking cool.
He was a groundbreaking person in an era where things were already breaking new ground, and he was doing things that were right on that. And in a different era of acceptability, if he had come out now with this character and he was fresh, in terms of age and things like that, I can't imagine how popular that character could have been.
Yeah, I mean, he came from the right family for wrestling, though.
He did. He had the right pedigree. Everything was right. He was just and still very groundbreaking. And still, you could point to him as a lot of the, you don't have some of the characters you'd have now, and the weird line walkings of a Velveteen Dream or some of these other characters you have without a Goldust kind of character. It's a very important thing.
Absolutely.
All right. Let's get to the. We predicted the 3-way match. Everybody knew that was coming with Miz, Balor, and Rollins. We saw that coming for a couple weeks as they were pushing towards that. And I'm going to make this prediction. I'm sticking with it. It's going to be the best match of the night. I love the Mizzies too. That's always a great bit. And I love that Kurt Angle was nominated for the same award 3 times. That was awesome. Yeah. It's just fun. Like Miz has my attention, man. Miz has it right now. He's hitting his stride. I think this is the golden era of the Miz. And I'll say it, I kind of hope he wins.
Me too. I want him to break the record. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, where we're at with it. Do you think it's going to be the match of the night at WrestleMania?
Oh, I think I agree with last time we agreed on that. It'll be the best technical match I think of the night. I don't know if there might be more spectacle stuff going on, but yeah, that's going to be the one you watch for the work rate.
Is Miz the guy? We were saying if Roman walks away with the championship, he needs the great foil. He needs the guy on the other side of the mic to carry him. Is Miz that guy?
Well, yeah, Miz can carry anybody on the mic. That's not an issue there. They've had the little thing already. I don't know if they'll go back to that. The rumor that I heard, I guess more rumors, is Rollins and Roman having a program for the title after WrestleMania, which will be interesting. But I can see them revisiting it down the road. I'm not sure if it seems like it's kind of too soon to go back to Roman Miz a little bit.
Yeah, I can understand. I feel like they kind of started it and it didn't really. I don't know. It didn't really flourish in terms of the amount of time. It was almost like, let's just do this for a little while while we figure out the rest of stuff.
Right.
And I almost feel like what you had in that little short period was good enough where you can say, hey, this is almost like it was a test for, can we bring this program to the top level? And I think the answer is yes. I think it can. I think what Miz is doing right now is great. All right, let's go over to SmackDown before we close out the show here. Still no opponent for Charlotte. I enjoyed the promos actually back and forth, though. I thought they did a pretty nice job there with the whole, the expectations versus you were handed everything. I think that was a really good angle to play. But I keep looking around, and I don't see anybody addressing the fact that she does not have a real true opponent or foil yet, and we are 30 days out.
Well, they're intentionally keeping it quiet because I think it was going to happen.
And how do you spin that? Like Asuka just gets up and goes, you know what? You guys work this out between you. I'm going to go fight Charlotte Flair.
Well, she's just going to say, Alexa, you're not good enough for me. I want Charlotte. I think that's what she's going to say.
Okay, I got one for you. How about Nia going to Asuka and saying,
look,
give me this opportunity? And her going, all right, and her switching and pivoting off of that because she respects her because of how good that match was between them.
That would be good.
How do you like that?
I think they need to establish that mutual respect because I think they're both going to be baby faces very soon. So they need a way to flip that a little bit. Nia not be the monster jerk that just wants to hurt her. They just say, oh yeah, it was my motivation to win, and let's go conquer each show type of thing. So
yeah, Nia versus Alexa and Charlotte versus Asuka. That's what everybody wants. Give the people what they want, for God's sakes, because you're going to stick us with John Cena in some match we don't want him in. So for the love of God, please just do that. Let's talk about, by the way, let's get to that. John Cena, not at SmackDown.
Yeah.
That's good. But great Sami Zayn. I mean, everybody, you had to have seen it coming a mile away, but it doesn't make it not fun anyway. Love the ending there. There were two great spots in that match, too. One was that reverse DDT off the rope off Styles, and the other was Baron Corbin catching him with that shot off the phenomenal forearm. People can crap on Baron Corbin all they want. Baron Corbin is good in the ring.
It's unwarranted, the hate.
He's good in the ring. Everybody needs to just stop. Just shut up. I mean, the guy is solid. At this point, I would rather watch him than Bobby Roode, and I know that's an unpopular thing to say. I'd rather watch Baron Corbin than I will fast forward if I had a choice between watching those two guys. I'll fast forward through Bobby Roode if I had to.
You and I talked about Bobby Roode is not a baby face that I want to watch. So,
no,
I mean, and on commentary, he was even a little bit trying to force him to say all these sugary things. It's like, come on, guys, what are you doing? Flip him.
Just flip him already. And the problem is, I'll tell you who you flip him against. The groundswell is so strong for Rusev.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
You flip him on Rusev, you have him do something terrible to Rusev, and Rusev becomes one of the great unexpected faces of all time, almost Mick Foley-ish.
Yeah.
In that sense, I feel that's sort of a swell for him. That's the guy. That's the foil. It's Rusev Day. That's what you're going to do. Let's talk about Ziggler for a moment as well. I still say I like where this is going. I think if he's going to work as a heel, and I mean work in the ring as a heel, my one thing that I would say is I like him to slow down a little bit sometimes. I think he works so much like a face because he works at such a frenetic pace in the ring that when you're working as a heel, I think always the best heels are able to slow matches down sometimes.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think that that's something that he should try if he can. And this is, like, again, the combat choreographer in me coming out.
Hey, it's useful insight, man.
I've been doing it for 20 years. I've been doing this for a living, okay? I mean, I don't step foot in a room for less than $1,000 when I choreograph something. And I know what I'm talking about. I just think he needs to work a little bit slower at times. And I think not the entire time, just a few times where he can really kind of get some character and some some emotion over. And I kind of like him starting this, am I over yet?
Yeah.
I think that should be his catchphrase. Am I over yet? Like, do you like me now? Is this good enough? Like, I think that phrase I think he needs new music, or just stick with the whole no music completely thing and just own it. I know you said at the end you need to have the music play when he wins, but you know what? Own it. Let's own this. Let's not walk the fence, because the worst thing they can do here is walk on the fence line between this. Make a decision, stick to it, own it, and if you do and he embraces it, I think the crowd will embrace it too.
I'm with you. We see when Kevin Owens works a crowd at a house show or something, he always talks, and Chinlock City is like the big thing with him. Like he just like sits there for like 2 minutes or something like that. That's how you work a crowd. You're right. And he
works like a face. He works so quick and such at a high octane speed the entire time, even when he's winning.
Yep.
And I love it. I've said it on this show last week. I don't know if there's a better guy who checks all the boxes than him. He does. He's so great in the ring. He's great on the mic. He's all around. But he just, now if you're going to be this other guy, just do that. Work a little slower. Change it up a little bit. Find those moments where you can get this new Dolph across a little bit better. That's all I'm saying.
Right. No, you're right. People don't care enough about Dolph Ziggler. I hate to say this, but they don't care about him enough where you can be a tweener with him. You have to be one or the other at this point. Like, you have to really, like you said, commit to one side of it where you can have a polarizing response to it. There's no real polarization with Dolph Ziggler right now. It's just like the guys who respect him, the people who respect him in the crowd, they clap for him and stuff, and then people just like, oh, we'll get a soda now,
All right, let's talk about one more thing, too, because the waste of the Money in the Bank this year, whether it was Baron Corbin blowing his and giving it to Carmella just to give her a gimmick, which, I understand you had to try something with her. I get it. But now you're in a spot where it's completely meaningless. There's no way she's going to win. Nothing's going to come of it. So I just think they really need to reevaluate that and realize that if whatever they're going to do next year with Money in the Bank, they've got to give these briefcases to people where it's going to somehow benefit them long-term. I think they were both very short-term decisions. I think Corbin's was the right long-term decision that they screwed the pooch with and made him use it, and they made a bad short-term decision with. And then they tried to make a long-term decision, giving her a gimmick for a year, but instead it ended up not working because it was a short-term decision, and now long-term it sucks.
She should have cashed in before Charlotte became champ. I mean,
yeah. Well, now it's over. It's done.
It's not believable now, and especially if they do what we do, which is the correct thing to have Asuka go there. No way she's going to beat either of those two, and it's going to expire before the next pay-per-view. So
yeah,
I'm with you. It's Corbin. That was God. I mean, doing the same thing like the Damian Sandow thing. That just that irked me because I think he should have had that for much longer.
Yeah, and it's a good bit. The Money in the Bank bit is good, and we've seen it work great at times. And we've seen this year, which this past calendar year of WrestleMania, however you want to call it, WrestleMania, it's not good. I don't think that they maximized it. I think they made bad choices. And now you're sitting here with knowing one of them's out of play at WrestleMania, and the other one, even if it's in play, it doesn't matter. So it's kind of a bummer. But I don't want to end on a down note. Of all the things that you saw this week, tell me, what was the most exciting thing that you saw, your big takeaway that you were excited about now as we're starting to head to FastLane?
I hate to say this, but I'm not really all that stoked for SmackDown at this point.
I just said we got to end on a high note. You can't drag us down at the end.
The Sami Zayn character work, I'll say.
I
think the flip to heel for him has been, people didn't believe it at first, and then you see him do like the, trolling Shane McMahon in the ways he's been doing and getting one over on Kevin Owens. I guess that's the thing that's really kind of inspired me the most. I'm looking forward to the six-pack challenge. It should be nice to watch. That's, the AJ Styles probably is going to win, but there's going to be a lot of good wrestling in the ring. I wish they wouldn't have done the five-way before the six-pack challenge. It's, I joked on Twitter last night. It's like Exhibit book the angle. It's like, oh, you like four-way matches? We'll give you a four-way match, then we'll give you a five-way match. And
they're going to give you six, and the next thing they're going to give you 7 or 8. I don't know.
And then the five-way before the six-way.
Oh, it's God. You're right. I did like the Sami Zayn stuff. I like where it's going with KO.
I'm a huge Sami fan. So
we're working towards that. And Sami's another guy that doesn't get enough credit. And he's right. Sometimes that gimmick, if I don't get enough credit, is kind of like, ho-hum, whatever. But you know what? He's right. He's fun. He's entertaining. He's versatile. And I think that's the thing. I think he can wear both hats, no pun intended, because it's Sami Zayn. He can wear the hat of the babyface. He can wear the hat of the villain. And I like him as almost the villain who doesn't recognize he's the villain.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's his thing. That's his MO, and I think he should roll with that. Do you really think Styles is going to win?
They better set up Styles Nakamura somehow. Maybe if they want Cena to break the record, maybe he wins, but then Styles wins the belt back. I mean, Nakamura Styles is what they're going for. I would hope.
I don't know, man. If it's somehow Nakamura Styles Cena, this whole breaking the record nonsense. I don't know, man.
Too many triple threats, man.
Unless you want to get to a point where you say to Cena, like you say, you break this record, you have this record, you go into WrestleMania all the heat, and then you put over the new guy, which would make sense. Not that AJ's new, but I mean, to me, Nakamura is the one that gets lost in that shuffle.
Well, I think they're kind of slow playing him until then. I will admit they didn't have him on the show for a week or two, which I'm kind of upset about. Like, I talk about all the good video packages and stuff. They should have something more consistent for Nakamura if they're not going to have him on the show.
Well, it's hard. It's hard because of the language barrier with him.
Yeah, but you don't need much. You just play his music and you have a cool promo with, he's got enough sound bites already where you could just play them over highlights of him kicking people in the face. It's
yeah, I guess. But I mean, that's the difference with him and Asuka. I think Asuka, her ability to communicate, I think, a little bit more or a little differently. I
don't know. Nakamura was kind of doing English promos before she was, I think, but she's been getting more of them lately.
She seems to be getting more of them, and I think she's doing a pretty good job. All that stuff with her and The Miz and the mixed match was very good. But
the mixed match is great, though. So
I love the mixed match thing. I mean, I told you I want a pay-per-view where there's just a tournament of that. I think that would be incredibly entertaining, and I think they should do it at some point where things aren't totally hot in the business, and I think it would really be a great thing to pick up business a little bit because it would be fun. Just set them up there, set two different brackets up, and then have like the winners and do almost have them timed matches or something like that. Make them all 10 minutes each. Yeah,
you're right. I mean, a lot of I like how they're doing more of these one-off events like the Mae Young and the UK tournament and the Dusty Rhodes, which is coming back. So we get to talk about that next week. I think the first round's tonight. So
is it? Well, there you go. There you go.
We'll talk about that next week.
You can follow us on Twitter at JoePizapia17 at Tim_Heaney. And you can follow us on at In This Ring as well. We thank you guys for listening. We'll be back again next week to recap Fastlane. And again, see if Charlotte will have anyone to face at WrestleMania. And remember, everybody, to be the man, you gotta beat the men. And we are the men. Woo!